Hello, agents. Today we have Mike Swinson, who is one of our Academy alumni, and he and his team have now closed 29 deals with us and our investors. So we would like to welcome him. Hello, Mike. How are you?
Hi, excited to be on.
Yeah. So let's start at the beginning. Tell us, how long were you an agent before you signed up for our Academy?
Yep. So my background was I actually have been on the admin side. So I joined a real estate team as kind of the director of operations. It would have been about 7 years ago. I was on that team for 5 years. And then I started my own team. This would have been the first day of COVID shutdown. So that was my
Oh,
first day kind of with officially with my new team. And we had one part-time agent and myself, but I was going to be mostly on the admin side. And so we spent a few months trying to figure out what to do and how to handle things when we didn't really have any buyers or clients we were working with leading into COVID. So that would have been March of 2020. And then I started with the academy. I think it would have been about a year later. So
mhm.
so I would have just started as an agent probably only a few months prior. I mean, I had my license, but because I was on the admin side, I spent a few months kind of doing admin stuff on the back end and didn't do a ton of agent focused stuff. So probably just
Right.
a couple months as
Yeah,
a
so
licensed
you were
agent.
you
Yep.
were very like retail buyer focused at that point
Yes.
when yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and so you wanted to make the jump.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I tell people when I first got into real estate, I just assumed that people were making money hand over fist and all these people had all these investments. I had done a couple of flips in the 10 years prior to getting into real estate. I worked construction in college, so I have a few skills working, probably to my own fault because it leads me to do more on a property than I would want to have somebody else do.
Do
Um,
yourself.
right, right.
Yeah.
So I just assumed people were making a lot of money, and so it always just intrigued me that so many agents were struggling to make money, struggling to put closings on the
Mhm.
board. They viewed their job as just a sales job where I could make $50,000 selling copy machines, or I could make $50,000 doing a few closings, and they
Right.
didn't see the value of the long term commitment of being in real estate to be able to have all the knowledge at your fingertips to know the best investment properties, the best relationships with property managers, with lenders,
Mhm.
and how they could build and grow a really good career. So I had always wanted to pursue the investment side, but I was on a regular residential team. So I didn't really know where to plug in on the investment side until I found out about the academy. And so it was a webinar that Jennifer had done. I
Uh-huh.
signed up for it. And then I did a second webinar with her and Kelly. And that's where I really saw the process of how I could plug in, I could submit properties to investors. They would raise their hand and would work with them. So that was really kind of the fuel that lit it for me. So yeah, that was probably March or April of last year. So we're 13
Right.
months later. Yeah.
And Mike is speaking about Kelly Kellett, who is an agent out in Clarksville, Tennessee, and we work with her a lot. She's
Hmm.
one of our referral partners as well.
Yep.
So yeah, so you joined our academy and then you kind of brought that information back to your team, right?
Right. Yeah, so I have two agents on my team that have been working with me on investors over the last year. I would say we probably took 2, 3, 4 weeks as we were going through the academy, kind of putting together a plan and a strategy, and honestly learning a lot about investment properties and the language around investment properties and the deal analysis calculators and those sorts of things. But then we went all in. I mean, like I said, I wanted to be able to not continue to ride the hamster wheel of commissions. I've seen agents do that right in my 6 years on my real estate team. I saw that agents just, it was just this never ending hamster wheel. So I was looking for a way to be able to plug in and get in on the investment side. And so, yeah, we took a couple weeks. We put kind of some systems together. I still remember that I shouldn't say that this is going to happen for everybody, but I submitted my first property to Agents Invest. It was like midnight or 1 p.m. on a Thursday night. And Friday morning, I had somebody that had reached out that was interested in it. And I wrote up the purchase agreement on Sunday, and we were under contract by Monday.
Wow.
So it happened fast. Now, this person happened to have a family member. They lived in another state, but had a family member that lived in Minnesota, and thought, oh, it might be fun to be able to do a deal and have that family member, work with
Right.
them. So that was
Yeah.
kind of, I
So
guess
they
I
got
just
a little comfortable with that
right,
market.
right. So I
They
just
kind
got
of
lucky
had an
that
insider. Yeah.
right, right. So that's certainly not going to happen with everybody, um, but I think it does speak to sticking with it.
Mhm.
This for me, I want to do more with investing personally. I want to be able to purchase more investment properties myself, and so
Right.
to be able to work with investors and live in the same playground that they live in, I've learned a lot. My knowledge has grown. I've developed great relationships with other vendors, contractors, property managers, and so for me now, this is a vehicle where I can build my own investment portfolio and still help investors along the way. So I'm able to double dip.
Sure.
And do that. So yeah, so over the last kind of 2 to 3 months now, we've gone through a rebranding process where we're branding ourselves as an investment focused real estate team now, and that's
Wow.
really because of the spark that started, being a part of the academy.
Right. Yeah. You kind of make that pivot,
Right.
with your business. So
Yep.
tell me in the curriculum, like what are some of the main things that really, kind of boosted your business?
Um, Gosh, I'm trying to remember back to what the curriculum was. It's been a while. So number one, I remember they talked about branding yourself as somebody that works with investors. So now we're kind of all in on the investor side, but going through and putting in LinkedIn, putting in your heading, like I work with investors or I help people in real estate to build wealth, to
Uh-huh.
be able to put yourself out there and do that. I think that was something that was really key. Um,
Right.
and then really, I remember just following, because I'm a process person, it's just following the steps that they lay out. I
Yeah.
think too many times we have junk in our head of, I can tell you that won't work in my market. I've heard that a ton of times. And guess what? Within, um, so a few months after we got started, we had George Floyd happened in the Twin Cities. We had investors out of the state that are like, why should I invest in Minnesota? Like all I'm seeing on TV are riots and
Right.
trouble and
They
all
that
of that kind of
it
stuff.
scares them off a little bit, any kind of natural
Right.
disasters or any kind of things like that are big in the news, yeah, the market can kind of take a hit.
Right.
Right.
And so yeah, you've got those outside influences that people that aren't in Minnesota don't know about. I've heard probably 95% of agents out there say I can't find good deals. I haven't let that stop us. So we know
Mhm.
that it might take analyzing 10, 20, 30 deals to find a good deal. So I've told my agents, I don't, essentially, I don't want to hear you say I can't find a deal. It's just how the question is really how many properties do I need to analyze to find the deal that's worth it. And
Right.
so yeah, and that's a daily thing. I wake up, I go look at the MLS. I have Facebook groups that I'm a part of, networking with people to find off market properties. I have local agents that I'm networking, asking what else do
Mhm.
you have coming down the line. So every day it's a struggle. There's a lot of days where I have a hard time finding a property, but I don't let it stop me. And so for
Right.
me, I'm all in on investment properties is going to be the vehicle that our team uses to be successful in real estate. And so it's just a matter of how do I have to adapt versus should I or shouldn't I do this? I think that's the thing is there's probably a lot of agents out there. They're like, I don't really know if I want to do the investment side or not, or can I make more money or can I do a bigger deal on the residential side? I'm going to do that instead. For me, it's I can see the path for my success of building wealth in real estate is through investing in properties and helping people invest in properties. So I'm all in on the investment side. So I think that's where, from a mindset standpoint, if I have a day where I have a tough time finding a really good property, it's not going to stop me because I can't just say, oh shoot, I guess I should go back to regular residential, and I should say too, we still work with residential clients. If they have a house to sell and they reach out to us, great. But I would estimate probably 85% of our closings this year are going to be with investors.
Right.
So
Your ratio has changed. And,
yeah.
tell us, in dealing with investors and your business model, what are the benefits of having a team in place, of having, these other agents with you kind of going through all of these deals with you, and analyzing and creating these funnels, these lead funnels and things. So what's the
Yeah, I think
difference
it's
in having a team and going it alone?
Yeah, it's leverage and it's support.
Mhm.
Um, I can't go out and find every deal myself. Um, and what we've also found is we have a little bit of different niches. So one of the guys on my team likes doing bigger deals, and rightfully
Mhm.
so. Who wouldn't want to make more money per closing? And so he's pursued a little bit more of the commercial route, looking at properties more than 4 units. He started to network with people in that space, build relationships with people in that space. Um, we have another agent on my team that has built some good relationships with some agents, and he's now gotten kind of exclusive off market deals from them. And I think he's done
Sure.
3 or 4 closings with this agent. And so the nice thing is I don't have to feel like I have to pursue every possible lead and deal. You can't see my
Right.
hands in the camera, but I've got, every lead and deal that could possibly be out there.
Yeah.
Now I have some different avenues where we strategically can go after different types of properties. Justin on our team now moved down to Florida in the meantime. The other really cool thing is the relationships that we've built with people in Minnesota. Our investors also want good deals in Florida. And so
Right.
him and his wife moved, and his business can still stay in a very favorable spot because the investors want to buy properties in Florida. They also want to buy properties in Minnesota. And so that's the thing that's different than regular residential real estate too, is a job change for a spouse or significant other or a family member.
Mhm.
Maybe you have to move out of state. On the residential side, your database is probably people local in that area. Now that I have
Right.
an investor database, it's where is there a good deal? If it's Minnesota, great. If it's Florida, great. Another agent on my team has talked about moving out west. Great. He can do that, and we can still work with our same database of people because the investors just want a good deal. So there's a
And that's amazing because you're able to expand then, and you're able to offer,
right.
more markets and more deals. And yeah, that's great. That's incredible.
Right. And yeah, Florida's a great spot for short-term rentals. There's a lot of interest in that right now.
Right.
Minnesota is still has a solid short-term rental market.
Mhm.
Working with investors out of state, sometimes they don't understand that people still rent in the winter. I get questions of like, what happens in the winter? Well, we still live here because our jobs are still here. So even though it's snowing and it's -20 out, we still need a
Uh-huh.
place to live.
You
Um,
still live there year round.
However, it's
Right.
one thing to convince an investor in Florida that people live here year round. It's a little bit of a different story to convince them for a short-term rental that people still want to travel here in the winter. But Florida's
Right.
a lot easier to sell on the short-term rental side. So there's some diversity now in kind of our offerings to our investors as the result of doing that. And the team we've strategically talked about, what venues do you want to go down, what areas do you want to specialize in, and now we have I look at it as I'm a matchmaker for an investor. So now I have a larger catalog of opportunities for them,
Mhm.
because of some of the different opportunities we're exploring, whether it's single family burrs, duplexes,
Right.
fourplexes, higher level stuff, short term rentals. We can do as much as we
You have it
possibly
all.
can. Yep. Yeah.
Well, tell us how it is working with our inner circle investors.
Yeah. So what I love about it is, there's quite a few people that are newer and they're still learning. Maybe it's their first property.
Mhm.
Even with that being the case, they come in with a baseline that's much higher than somebody else who's an investor. Um, I love that you guys do a great job of training them. helping to educate them, helping to answer questions, giving them deal calculators that they can run
Right.
their numbers through. And so they come in with a higher level of knowledge. The other
Hmm.
thing that I love is they come in wanting to pay 25% down on multifamily properties and seller, and they will pay for the closing costs. That helps us
Hmm.
win a lot of deals because local investors here, um, I don't want to say are stepping over dollars to get to dimes, but in some ways they are, where they're trying to see, hey, if I could have the seller pay all the closing costs, I could save a few bucks. And I think the
Right.
investors, as a part of the group, see the bigger picture. And for them, it's just, when I'm analyzing a deal, I'm analyzing it at 25% down, and I'm paying for all the closing costs. So when I submit offers to sellers, it's a very standard offer. Most of the investors do that. They're like, oh wow, this is a really good offer. It's like,
Hmm.
well, that's just how Jennifer and the group has trained them of how they
Yeah.
should be running their numbers on if they're choosing to write an offer on that property or not. So I think it's really helpful. And yeah, I would say that the sellers like the offers that we write because you guys come educated,
Right.
and you've run your numbers, your stuff. So the other thing that I love is being able to show properties for people out of state. New property comes on. I understand that we can write offers for people sight unseen. I want to
Hmm.
be able to go in the house. I'm 6'1". I want to make sure that if we can finish off a basement, that the basement's tall enough for somebody to actually be able to live in. I
Right.
want to
To
be able
live
to
and enjoy.
right. I want to be able to smell the smells of the house to make sure that it's
That's not
not some
always a good thing.
right, to be able to make sure it's not strong enough if there's a smell that's gonna detract somebody from renting in there. So, usually what I
Yeah.
do is I see a property, if it looks good and I submit it to Agents Invest, I might even, if I know it's a strong enough property, I might just go ahead and do a showing myself. The beauty is I don't have to schedule a showing with any other buyers. I just go schedule it in showing time that we use showing time. A lot of times if the property has, a vacant unit, I can go see it 30 minutes from now. So I'll just go show it. A lot of our properties come in on a Friday. So if I've already seen the property, I go take a video tour. I drop
Uh-huh.
those video files in Google Drive. Anybody that reaches out to me and says, hey, I want to learn more about the property. Oh, I've already seen it. Here's the Google Drive folder. I'll share the videos with you. Now they can go watch it and see it for themselves. And then they feel comfortable writing an offer. So it could be property goes live at 3 p.m. I go see it at 4 p.m. I get somebody that reaches out to me at 7 p.m. and they decide to write an offer by 8 p.m. I mean, that's
Wow.
happened. Now,
Yeah.
there's a lot of properties that we don't write offers on or we don't have interest on. So I don't want to skim over the fact that there's a lot of those as well, but
Sure.
it can happen quickly. And
Hmm.
that's the beauty of having a large pool of vetted out investors. The other thing is the investors already come probably pre-approved with a lender. Most of them have already
Right.
got that. Some of them want to, get a second opinion from somebody, see if
Or
maybe
ask
there's a
for local
local lender.
lenders in your
But yeah,
area.
most of them
Yeah.
already come pre-approved. Hey, I've already got my letter from so and so. I can write on this property tonight. So
Right.
yeah.
And that's the wonderful thing about our inner circle is that we do provide a lot of education for them to get them started, about markets and strategies and what fits them best. And, and we do require that they have that, finances in place and are ready to put in offers before they reach out to our agents. So,
Mhm.
yeah,
The other
amazing.
thing I'll quick say, because I see the comment about the video tour, is we had a property that I had an investor interested the day that it went live. So just like I
Uh-huh.
said, I went and toured the property, dropped it in Google Drive, shared it with them. The next day they said, "Hey, you know what? I looked at the numbers, I ran them a little bit closer. It's probably not a fit for right now."
Right.
Okay, fine. 3 weeks later, that property had a price reduction, and another investor reached out and said, hey, why, in this market, like, what's wrong with it? Why is it sitting on the market for 3 weeks? God forbid
Hmm.
a property's on the market for 3 weeks. And I said, oh, I actually saw that property 3 weeks ago, the weekend that it went live. Here's the videos. So then I then had to do no extra work short of going into Google Drive, sharing it with that buyer.
Uh-huh.
from a tour I did 3 weeks ago. We rode on that and we closed on it like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
So, that's setting up good systems like that. I shared the video tour 3 weeks later with a new person that came in the fold, and we went under contract and closed on it. So,
Yeah. Amazing. Well, do you have any last tips for any of our current alumni and anyone maybe having some struggles and getting their deals closed?
yeah, I think a few things. One is it's worth it. Don't I'm a big believer in mindset. So there's so many people that will let something bad happen, or hey, I submitted a property. There's I can't tell you, this is where going back to the team and the support of the team. I can't tell you, there's a lot of properties where I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing is awesome. We're gonna have so many people that reach out, they're interested in it. I'm gonna make sure I'm available tonight so I can handle all the people that come in to be able to write my offers, and it's crickets. And then there's
Uh-huh.
another property where I'm like, it's okay. Like it's decent enough, but that property might just click with that person because of it's maybe the right location they're looking for. The numbers are
Right.
just right for them, and then two, we have to remember our investors are busy people. So the day that I have the property that I'm super excited about might be the same week that that family took a vacation out of state and they didn't see that property.
And
Or
I think that all speaks to submitting many, many deals. The more you
yes.
submit, the more
Yeah.
likely you're going to go under contract.
Yeah, I think I counted, we submitted 339 properties last year to the Agents Invest community.
Wow.
So, we closed on 25. You know,
Hmm.
there are people that have better ratios. I think initially, I asked, what are the kind of how many offers to a closing do you have to have? And there's people that had better numbers. I
Yes.
can't control how many people respond to my offers, but I can control how many I submit. And so
Hmm.
I just said, well, we'll just, if we want to have more closings, that means we have to find better deals and submit better deals. And
Right.
so if it's going to mean I have to submit twice as many to get the numbers that I want, then I better go find twice as many properties that are a good fit. So I'm putting the pressure on the thing that I can control, which
Hmm.
is how I go find a good deal. And like I said, we
Getting
started
those lead funnels set up. Yeah.
exactly. And in all honesty, I would say 80% of our closings last year were MLS deals,
Yeah.
because we found properties that were good enough that the investors liked. And I always give the analogy of like a three-legged stool. You never want to have all your eggs in one basket. So if the MLS is one leg, we might be able to rely on that leg when I first got started, but we also want
Sure.
to build out the two other legs. So
Hmm.
Facebook groups was another key leg of us for finding good properties. So we joined a lot of off market property Facebook groups, local investor Facebook groups, that sort of thing. And then the third leg is developing relationships with local agents. So I would go through the MLS and I would notice like, hey, this person's listed a lot of multifamily properties. Add them to my spreadsheet. Oh, I've noticed, we wrote an offer on this property and it wasn't accepted. I add them to my spreadsheet. Well, now that's my database of investor focused agents in the Minneapolis St. Paul area. And now I'm sending out an email every month to them. What do you have? Do you have any other deals coming down the line? And so now I've been able to build out those other legs of the stool so that we can grow our business. Because if I'm just relying on the same leg of the stool all the time, I probably can expect the same results. So I've got to find ways to grow my business. And so we just haven't given up. I think probably the people that aren't doing this long term, at some point, they've let the mindset get in their head and they've
Uh-huh.
said, it's not worth it. It won't happen in my market. I can't find good deals. And I've just said, what do I have to do so that I can succeed in this market?
You have to keep
And
pushing and
right.
pivot. The market's going to change constantly, and gotta
Yeah.
gotta pivot and gotta go with the changes for sure, and
Yeah.
figure out figure out the best way to keep on striving in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. And
thank you so much, Mike. We really appreciate having you on here today.
yeah, absolutely, and I do want to speak to it's challenging. There's a lot of difficult times too. So I'm highlighting the successes that we've had, but like I said, there's 310 properties that we submitted to the investors that didn't work out. But
Right.
kind of like holding an open house, right? You hold the open house so you can pick up additional buyers. There's been so many times that we've submitted properties and an investor has reached out and hasn't written on it. And we do a kind of a conversation where we ask them, what are you looking for? How can I help you? What types of properties? And we just put them in our database. We make a note, this is the type of property that they want. The next time I find a property that's a fit, I submit it and I shoot them a text. Hey, this property might be a fit. Why don't you go check it out? And there's been some people where I've sent 5, 10 properties to maybe over the last 6 months, and they haven't pulled the trigger on that one, but it might be season of life. They're busy. They just bought another property. And I'm
Uh-huh.
determined to get them a property in Minnesota because once they have a property here, they're more likely to have more properties here.
Yeah.
And so that's just the mindset that I've taken that, and then I see in the groups of they closed on a property in this state, they've closed on a property in that state. Okay, that's fine. I just got to go find them one here in Minnesota. So I'm just not going to give up on these
You're
folks. And
determined.
and I'm
Yeah,
yeah, and I'm committed to making it work. And so I think that yeah, that would be my
exactly.
advice is just keep at it, keep at it. And if you want to call me and reach out to me and I can give you an encouragement call, I'm more than happy to do that because in my mind, like I said, this is the vehicle of how our team is going to succeed is by working with investors. We've now
Mhm.
rebranded and we're an investment focused team, and so we're all in on investors. So that's going to be how we succeed as a team. So and honestly,
Amazing.
it's all because of this program, because I
Yeah.
saw the opportunity to do this. In 13 months, we've gone from working with 0 investors to now we're all in on working with investors, and this was the launching pad for us.
Yeah. Well, amazing. We've enjoyed working with your team so much, and I appreciate having you on today. So
Yeah,
thank you so much, Mike, for joining us. Bye bye.
yeah. Thanks. Bye.